Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video is a quick preview and I guess review of the announced undercard for Oleksandr Usyk versus Tyson Fury 2. Of course the main event sells itself. It's a fight that's going to captivate the boxing fans' imagination. And that's really what we're looking forward to here. However, the undercard has been announced to, I would say, mixed receptions online. And I basically wanted to go through it and give you my thoughts on it, essentially. Not going to talk about the main event, obviously. We'll talk about that in a separate video. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to start with the worst. Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen. I feel like this is a waste of a spot on the card, to be honest. You could have gotten a better domestic fight. You could have done so much more with an extra slot if you remove this fight. I'm not particularly interested. Johnny Fisher, heavyweight prospect out of the UK, very little amateur pedigree. He's a big, strong dude, has a bit of power, but boxing skill-wise, leaves a lot to be desired. He's a ticket seller. He's got a bit of a following on social media, but aside from that, I don't really see anything special in Johnny Fisher. Dave Allen. Where do we start with Dave Allen? Again, a guy who has had numerous chances throughout his career of redemption, but never really capitalized on the opportunities that he's had in his career. Very often, Dave Allen turns up out of shape, barely throws a punch, and just soaks up punishment, basically. He has that kind of Homer Simpson tactic about him. Just soak up punishment and stand there. When's the last time we've seen Dave Allen turn up in shape for a big fight or a big opportunity? I can't remember. Maybe the first fight with Lenroy Thomas, or the second... No, it's the second one, I believe. Maybe that fight. But, this is a guy who's been on pay-per-view, 10, 11, 12 times? And the shape he's turned up in every time, for the most part, has been embarrassing. And for me, his performances leave a lot to be desired. The guy's going to be in there. He'll go some rounds because he does have a good chin, but Johnny Fisher is bigger, stronger, younger, fresher. Johnny Fisher's not a great boxer, but he should win this fight relatively comfortably. I don't think it's really going to tell us anything about Johnny Fisher, to tell you the truth. And yeah, I'm just not feeling this fight personally. We move up to Moses Atma versus Dempsey McKean. Of course, Moses Atma right now is one of the most talked about heavyweight prospects in the world. Very exciting fighter, athletically gifted, fast, seems to have decent power. Coming off a stoppage win over Marius Vac. Seems like they want to push him relatively quickly. And for a 10-0 guy who's a teenager, I think Dempsey McKean is a perfectly acceptable fight, to be honest. It's a step up when you look at Atma's previous opponents. I'm not saying Dempsey McKean is anything special because he's not. But, he's a relatively experienced guy. He's actually a pretty good athlete. Southpaw, 6'6". Actually gave Hrgovic a pretty decent fight back in August of last year. Big dude, southpaw, decent athlete. I'm sure he'll go a few rounds. Different look, being a southpaw, 6'6", in his prime. Again, Dempsey McKean's not great, but he's better than anybody Moses Atma has fought so far. So in that sense, it's a step up. I think Moses will get a few rounds out of this one. I do think he'll stop Dempsey McKean. But it's going to be interesting if we compare Atma's performance against McKean with Hrgovic, So, yeah, it's a decent step up, No, I'm not going to go overboard, but, matchmaking-wise, I think this is fine for a prospect such as Moses Atma. I think it's fine. Dennis McCan versus Peter McGrail, a domestic fight at super bantamweight. I believe the British and European will be on the line. Definitely the European, I guess, there's going to be some domestic belts on the line, maybe the European. But it's a really good fight. Dennis McCan has been touted for a long time in the UK. got a hands-down style, very flashy, but I do think he's flawed. We saw that in his first fight with Beluta. To be fair to McCan, he beat Beluta in the rematch. But he's definitely got some flaws. Peter McGrail, former Olympian, very good amateur. Good fighter as well, good talent. Had a career setback a couple of fights ago where he got knocked out by Jaquiel O'Quinn, I think his name was. He was winning the fight but just got caught and got knocked out. He's rebounded since then and, he finds himself in a pretty decent domestic fight. I'm kind of struggling with this one in terms of who I think's going to win. I think it's a 50-50 because I do think Dennis McCan is a little overrated. And, I think Peter McGrail's loss is going to lead to people overlooking him in this one. But Peter McGrail was a very skilled fighter. I'd say he's actually more fundamentally sound than Dennis McCan. Dennis McCan, like I said, is very flashy. He's quick. He relies a lot on athleticism. Whereas I'd say Peter McGrail is a better all-round technical fighter. I'm struggling with this one, but that means it's a good fight. That means it's going to be... I struggle to pick a winner in this one, I'll be honest. I think a lot of people are going to be going with McCan. I'm not so certain, personally. I think it's a really good fight, though. Really like this fight right here. Peter McGrail versus Dennis McCan. We move up. Not interested in this one, I have to say. Isaac Lowe versus Lee McGregor at featherweight. Isaac Lowe's been around these divisions for a long time at domestic level. He's come up short every time he steps up. He got stopped by Nick Ball. He got stopped by Bernardo Lopez. He drew to Ryan Walsh. Every time Isaac Lowe steps up, he does fail. He's an okay boxer at domestic level, but nothing more than that. Lee McGregor's a curious case because when he turned pro, he looked very good, looked very, very promising, but his career's not really progressed the way I thought it would, to be honest. He actually suffered a shock defeat to a Mexican dude not so long ago, Eric Ayala, and Ayala would then get stopped by Liam Davis in a round or two rounds. So that was a bad defeat for Lee McGregor. Again, he's on the comeback trail himself. Will he have enough for Isaac Lowe? He should do, to be honest. He should do. I expect Lee McGregor to win. I think he's naturally a more talented fighter. He's a harder puncher. Isaac Lowe's not that durable for me. So yeah, I expect Lee McGregor to win this fight, but again, does this sort of fight really need to be on the card? For me, no. That's fine for a regular sort of UK card, but not for one of these sort of pay-per-view Riyadh cards. Not for me anyway. And we then move on, sorry, I'm a little bit flustered today. I've had a long day at work and zero sleep, pretty much. So I'm a little bit flustered, so forgive me. But anyway, we move on. Great fight right here at super welterweight. Great fight. Potential barn burner. Sergey Boichuk versus Israel Madramov. Both guys are coming off close losses, Sergey Boichuk, many people felt he beat Virgil Ortiz. I certainly felt he had an argument to win that fight. If you scored that fight for Boichuk, I certainly wouldn't call you crazy. He dropped Virgil Ortiz a couple of times in that fight, had a lot of success, and really put up a good account of himself. Israel Madramov coming off a close loss to Terence Crawford. Again, boxed a good fight, put up a good account of himself. Both guys have shown they belong at top 5 level in the division, in my opinion. Now they're meeting. No bounce back fights, no tune-up fights, no rebound fights. Straight into a big one. And I'm assuming this is some sort of eliminator. It has to be, right? It has to be. But regardless, it's a really, really, really good fight. Sergey Boichuk is going to be the pressure guy in this one. He's going to be the guy bringing it. He's going to be the guy trying to walk down Madramov. Madramov is the more eye-catching sort of fighter. He's athletically gifted, very good jab, decent power. He's explosive. He can counter. He can mix things up as well. He can throw in combination. He's certainly a more talented fighter than Boichuk, but Boichuk in recent fights has really shown a great resolve. He's shown great pressure, great work rate, great aggression, and he's going to force Madramov into a fight, in my opinion. Whether he can then get on top of Madramov and drown him is another question, but he'll definitely give Madramov a lot of trouble. He is defensively lapsed at times, Boichuk, so Madramov can certainly hurt him. Could Madramov get the knockout? Who knows? Again, it's a fight in which I think could go either way. I favour Madramov, personally. I do favour Madramov, but if Madramov can't hurt Boichuk, then it's going to be very interesting, because I certainly think Boichuk has a better gas tank than Madramov. And if he makes Madramov work hard, that's going to be interesting as this fight plays out. This is a really good fight. It's one of those fights that I would genuinely be shocked if it's boring. I'd be shocked. I can't see this fight being boring. Sergey Boichuk versus Israel Madramov. That's good enough to headline its own card, to be honest. It's a great fight. It's a really, really good fight. Looking forward to it tremendously. Great fight. I favour Madramov, but again, I think it's a hard fight for him. It's a hard fight for Boichuk as well, obviously. But overall, I look at the card. I really like Boichuk versus Madramov. I quite like Dennis McCan versus Peter McGrail. I think Atma versus Dempsey McKean is acceptable. Dave Allen versus Johnny Fisher, to me this seems like a massive waste of time and a waste of a slot on this card. Same as Isaac Lowe versus Lee McGregor. Feels like a massive waste of time to me. Like, if these two fights here were swapped out for not even world level fights, but just well-matched domestic fights, European level fights, if these two fights were swapped out, I think it would be a great card. But because of these fights, I can't in good conscience call it a great card. But I think it's a good card. I really do. You got a great main event. I'm assuming this is going to be the co-main. You got a great fight here. A really good domestic fight between McCan and Peter McGrail. It's a good card. It's a good card. But yeah, overall, I don't understand people saying it's a bad card. But, there are some people going overboard saying it's like card of the year. That's not the case either. But yeah, good card. Looking forward to it. Especially Sergey Boichuk versus Israel Madramov. Share your thoughts below. What do you guys think of this card? Peace.